नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भारवतसेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। So last week we completed the 6th chapter. Brahmaji was requesting Lord Shiva to revive the Daksha Prajapati and the different people who were injured in the sacrifice by the followers of Lord Shiva. Brahmaji wanted to revive the sacrifice which is meant for the whole universe. Therefore, he requested Lord Shiva to undo the punishment given by his followers to Daksha, Bhrigu, Bhaga, Pusha and others. So today we'll begin the 7th chapter, the sacrifice performed by Daksha. This chapter is the last chapter in the Daksha Yajna, little long chapter. So we'll begin this. Maitreya Uvacha.
Maitreya Uvacha
Ityajenanunitena
Ityajenanunitena
Bhavena Paritushyata
Bhavena Paritushyata
Abhyadhayi Mahabaho
Abhyadhayi Mahabaho
Prahasya Shruyatamiti.
Prahasya Shruyatamiti. Translation. The sage Maitreya said, O mighty armed Vidura, Lord Shiva, being thus pacified by the words of Lord Brahma, spoke as follows in answer to Lord Brahma's request.
1 second. One minute. So in this particular chapter, after the request of Brahmaji, what is further happening, that's explained. इत्यजेनानु नीतेन भवेन परितुष्यता अभ्यदायी महाबाहो प्रहस्य श्रूयतामिति. So Maitreya Rishi is addressing Vidura by the word Mahabaho. Mahabaho. Iti anena anunitena परितुष्येता भवेन प्रहस्य यत् अभ्यदायी तत् श्रूयतामिति. अनेन अनुनीतेन. In this way, Brahmaji had placed his request to Lord Shiva. After Brahmaji had placed that request to Lord Shiva, what was the immediate response of after Brahmaji had placed the request to Lord Shiva, what was the immediate response? Prahasya. Lord Shiva gently smiled, slightly smiled. Prahasya yat abhyadayi tat shruyatamiti. So with a smiling face, Lord Shiva told that, please hear what I am going to speak. So what is the, then next few verses are spoken by Lord Shiva. Mahadeva Uvacha.
Mahadeva Uvacha.
Nagham Prajesha Balana.
Nagham Prajesha Balanam.
Varnaye Nanu Chintaye.
Varnaye Nanu Chintaye.
Deva Maya Bhibhuktanam.
Deva Maya Vibhutanam.
Dandas Tatra Drito Maya.
Dandastatra Dhrito Maya. Translation. Lord Shiva said, my dear father, Brahma, I do not mind the offenses created by the demigods, but because these demigods are childish and less intelligent, I do not take a serious view of their offenses, and I have punished them only in order to right them.
Hey Prajesha, is addressing Brahma. Who Brahma, who is the master of all the prajas. Hey Prajesha, Deva Maya Bhibhutanam Balanam Adyam Natu Varnayan Anuchintaye Tatra Maya Dandaha Dritaha. So Deva Maya Bhibhutanam. So whatever Daksha Prajapati and all these people have done towards me, they have done being bewildered by the Maya potency of the Lord. Deva Maya Bhibhutanam. So, in the being bewildered by the Maya potency of the Lord, Daksha criticized me, Daksha offended me. So, the offense committed by Daksha towards me, Adyam Natu Varnayan. I don't repeatedly keep speaking about that offense committed by Daksha towards me. Adyam Natu Varnayan. So, oftentimes, when we are done some injustice and somebody has done some injustice to us, either in the form of verbal abuse or physical abuse, then oftentimes we keep speaking about that to different people. I was done this injustice, I went through the situation. We keep speaking about it to different people. But Lord Shiva is saying that Adyam Natu Varnayan. Adyam Natu Varnayan. I don't actually keep speaking about that. Anuchintaye. Natu Anuchintaye. That means उनके द्वारा किए गए अपराधों को न तो मैं चर्चा करता हूं और न उसको याद ही रखता हूं. I don't keep thinking about the offenses committed by them. Usually, a conditioned soul, he keeps speaking about the offense or the injustice done by others, and then he keeps remembering them. There is what is called as revenge fantasies. So I want to take revenge against that person in this fashion. So in the mind, such kind of thoughts keep going. But Lord Shiva, you see these words. Adyam Nagam Pragesha Balanam Varnaye na Anuchintaye. I don't keep speaking about that. Na Anuchintaye. I don't even think about them. So then, Tatra Maya Dandaha Dritaha. So I have Tatra Maya Dandaha Dritaha. So I have just given them a small punishment. I have just given them small punishment. So Vishwanath Chakravartipad also says here, I do not speak about or think about the offenses committed by the children. So these devatas are like balana, they are like childish people. And Deva Maya pi bhutanam, they are controlled by the Lord's Maya. Dandas tatra dhruto Maya. Vishwanath Chakravartipad says that Lord Shiva is saying, I punished them only to teach them. Dandas tatra dhruto Maya. So therefore, Prabhupada is writing that there are two types of punishment. One is the punishment which a king imposes upon the enemy. King or anybody who imposes upon the enemy. This kind of punishment has the element of revenge towards the person. It has an element of hatred towards, envy towards that person. It has the element of tit for tat attitude towards the other person. But the other type of punishment is the punishment imposed by the father towards the son. This kind of, in this punishment, there is a mood of compassion. I need to correct this person. So Lord Shiva gave punishment to them in the mood of compassion. It's a Vaishnava. So that is the point which Prabhupada is driving here. So Lord Shiva is called as Ashutosha, one who can be easily be pleased. Therefore, he did not become angry as if he were an enemy. So he just gave punishment as a father gives punishment to the son. And then then Lord Shiva further says, Prajapater Dagdashirshno
Prajapati Dagdashishno
Bhavat Vajamukam Shiraha
Bhavat Vajamukam Shiraha
Mitrasya Chakshushe Ksheta
Mitrasya Chakshu Sheksheta
Bhagam Swam Barhisho Bhagaha.
Bhagam Swam Bahirsho Bhagaha. Lord Shiva continued, since the head of Daksha has already been burned to ashes, he will have the head of a goat. The demigod known as Bhaga will be able to see his share of sacrifice through the eyes of Mitra.
See, Lord Shiva now is giving whatever the punishment given by his followers. Lord Shiva is reducing that punishment. He is not completely undoing the punishment, but he is reducing the punishment. So, when we over punish a person, then that is a sign of lust, that is a sign of revenge and hatred towards the person, punishing more than which is required. And that will only create fear in the people. And when we under punish a person or don't punish a person at all for the mistake, then that is like a pampering a person. So punishment should be just in proportion to the mistake. In order to administer such kind of punishment, it requires fine intelligence. It requires a fine sattva guna. The Shiva's followers had over-punished Daksha. So Lord Shiva restores them, but at the same time, he gives them just punishment. He reduces, he's not completely undoing the punishment, but he is giving reduced punishment. So in this it's explained that Dagda Shirshnaha Prajapatehe Shiraha Ajamukam Bhavatu. So Prajapati here refers to Daksha. Daksha's head was cut off, and Daksha's head was cut off and then put in the Yajna Kunda. It was already burnt. But now Lord Shiva is saying that let him get the head of a goat. जिनका शरीर जल गया है, ऐसे दक्ष प्रजापति का शिर बकरे के मुख वाला हो जाए. शिरः अजमुकम भवतु. And then he says, Bhagah Barhishah Mitrasya Chakshusha Ikshet. There was another person, Bhaga, who was in the side of Daksha, who also supported Daksha's offense to Shiva. That Bhaga's eyes were taken away. So now Lord Shiva is saying that Bhaga Devata Mitra Devata ke netron se dekhen. He will be able to see through the eyes of Mitra. So that kind of he will get his eyes are not completely restored, but at the same time he is given an opportunity to see through the eyes of the another Devata Mitra. Next verse. Ushatu yajamanasya
Ushatu yajamanasya
tadbhir jakshatu pishtabhuk
tadbhir jakshatu pishtabhuka
deva prakrita sarvanga
deva prakruta sarvanga
yema ucheshanam daduhu.
yema ucheshanam daduhu. The demigod Pusha will be able to chew only through the teeth of his disciples, and if alone, he will have to satisfy himself by eating dough made from chickpea flour. But the demigods who have agreed to give me my share of sacrifice will recover from all their injuries.
So here further he says that Pusham tu yajamanasya tadbihi pishtam jakshatu. So there was a devata called as Pusha. His teeth were actually broken. His teeth were broken by the followers of Lord Shiva. So he says that Pushatu yajamanasya tadbihi pishtam jakshatu. Pusha devata, because without teeth one cannot eat. Usually nowadays there is option, okay, you go make an artificial teeth like that. So Lord Shiva is giving two options for Pusha. First is that let Pusha eat pishtam jakshatu. Pisauva padartha Pusha kale. Let him eat actually ground meal. Let him eat the ground meal if he is alone. Ground meal means some powder which is like a nicely ground, which is made into a nice powder. Something like say sabudana, some kanji. Kanji, I don't know. There's the same word in Hindi. Kanji, that like that semi-liquid. Let him eat ground meal if he is alone. Or yajamanasya, let him eat through the teeth of the sponsor of the sacrifice. Like that, he is giving two options. And then he says that ye me ucheshanam daduhu te devaha prakrita sarvangaha bhavantu iti sheshah. जिन देवताओं ने यज्ञ के शेष भाग को मुझे प्रदान किया है उनके भी अंग स्वरूप हो जाएं. So there are certain devatas. These devatas did not side with Daksha. They did not side with Daksha when Daksha criticized Lord Shiva. So let these devatas, let them get all their limbs back because they did not side with Daksha. The devatas who did not give the best share to Lord Shiva had received injuries because of taking their share at the sacrifice of Daksha. But let them get all their limbs back because they did not side with Daksha when Daksha criticized me. So these devatas will get fully their limbs restored. But in the case of Bhaga or Pusha, their limbs are not fully restored. At the same time, they are given some options for performing those functions, performing the functions of their limbs, the teeth or the eyes. And the next shloka, the Prabhupada says that Pusha became dependent on his disciples for chewing. Otherwise, he was allowed to swallow only dough made of chickpea flour. So his punishment continued partially. So Pusha had actually used his teeth for laughing at Lord Shiva. He derided Lord Shiva by showing his teeth. So we see that it's not that Daksha Prajapati, he criticized Lord Shiva, but there are other people who sided with Daksha. They supported Daksha explicitly by laughing or approving. So they also got punishment. Next verse. Bahubhyam ashvino pushno
बाहुभ्याम अश्विनो पूष्णो
hastabhyam krita bahavaha
हस्ताभ्याम कृतभावः
bhavant advaryavachanye
भवन्नद्वर्यवत्सान्ये
bastasmashrur bhrugur bhavet.
बस्तस्मश्रुर्भृगुर्भवेत्. Those who have had their arms cut off will have to work with the arms of Ashwini Kumara, and those whose hands were cut off will have to do their work with the hands of Pusha. The priests will also have to act in that manner. As for Bhrigu, he will have the beard from the goat's head.
So further, Lord Shiva says that Advaryavaha Anyecha Ashwinoho Pushnah Bahubhyam Kritabhagavaha Bhavantu Bhruguhu Vastasmashruhu Bhavet. Some people's hearts, some people's hands got cut off. Some Brahmanas, Advaryu refers to certain Brahmana priests, their hands were cut off. जिनके हाथ टूट गए हैं वे अध्वर्यु और दूसरे देवता गण अश्विनी कुमारों और पूषा देवता के हाथों से हाथ वाले बन जाए. So these people whose hands were cut off, let them perform their functions of the hands through the hands of the Ashwini Kumaras. And Bhrigu Maharishi's beard was cut off because he also supported Daksha. Let him get the let him get the beard of a goat. Bakre ki daadi bad jaye. So here we see that Bhrigu Muni was the chief advisor of Daksha. So therefore he got some punishment. He got the reduced punishment. He got the mustache from a goat's head. So those priests who favored Daksha there are some priests, they favored Daksha by raising their arms. So therefore their arms were broken. So now Daksha, Lord Shiva is saying that let them use Ashwini Kumara's arms and let them use Pusha's arms. Like that, Lord Shiva is giving two options. So Prabhupada purport that like in this, Lord Shiva mentioned that Daksha will get the head of a goat. So Prabhupada says that according to the modern science, they say that intelligence is there in the brain. Intelligence is there in the brain. But according to the Vedic Shastra, the intelligence is not there in the brain, but rather the intelligence is one of the functions of the Antakaran. So like we have different external senses, 5 karmendriyas and 5 jnanendriyas. And we have what is called as an internal sense organ. Internal sense organ is called as an Antakarana. So when we talk about Antakarana, in the internal sense organ is only one sense organ. It is only one sense organ, but this one sense organ, based on the functions, the Antakarana is called differently by different names. So I'll mention that briefly. For example, so the Antakarana has different functions. For example, one of the function of Antakarana is making decisions and coming to conclusion. So based on this function, the Antakarana is called as a Buddhi. Buddhi is for making decisions and coming to conclusions. And the another function of Antakarana, the internal sense organ, is to create various thoughts and to produce various doubts. This function, based on this function, the Antakarana is called as the mind. And then another function of the Antakarana is Abhimana, identification. This function of Antakarana, based on this function, the Antakarana is called as a Ahankara. And then another function of Antakarana is remembrance. Based on this Antakarana, based on this function, the Antakarana is called as Chitta. So what the point is that the internal sense organ, it is actually, there is only one internal sense organ. But that one internal sense organ, Antakarana, gets divided into 4 based on the function it performs. So, if it is making decisions and coming to conclusion, then that is we call it as this is the Buddhi part of the Antakarana. Various thoughts and doubts, that is the Mana, mind part of the Antakarana. Abhimana, identification, is produced by false ego. Remembrance is produced by Chitta. But essentially, there is only one Antakarana. Unlike the external senses, there are 5 karmendriyas and 5 jnanendriyas. And the Antakarana is one based on the functions, and there are, it is divided into 4 types: Buddhi, Mana, Ahankara, and Chitta. So according to the modern science, Prabhupada says that intelligence is there in the brain. But according to the Shastra, intelligence is nothing but the Antakarana, the internal sense organ. So why he is mentioning this? that you will see few verses later. When Daksha Prajapati, although he got the head of a goat, but he would speak like a human being. The brains, because the brain substance of a human being and the brain substance of the animal like a goat, both are different. But although Daksha got the brain of a goat, he got the head of a goat, that means he got the brain of a goat, but still he acted like Daksha, even though his head was replaced by a goat. So the conclusion is that intelligence is not there in the brain. The Prabhupada says that the particular conscious, it is the conclusion is that it is the particular consciousness of the individual soul which acts. Brain is simply an instrument which has nothing to do with the real intelligence. The real intelligence is part of the Antakarana, internal sense organ. So we will see that Daksha, when he got the goat's head, he was as intelligent as he had previously been. He would offer nice prayers to satisfy Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, which cannot be possible for a, which is not possible for a goat to do. So therefore, the brain substance is not the center of intelligence. It is the consciousness of the particular soul that works intelligently. And then Prabhupada says that the purpose of the whole Krishna consciousness movement is to purify the consciousness. It doesn't matter what kind of brain a person is having. Once the Prabhupada was having an interview, I think our interview or some program with a club. One nimsham. Mataji once Prabhupada was having a interview with a club of people who are having IQ of 140 plus. IQ of 140 plus. But Prabhupada was explaining the simple concept of the difference between the body and the soul, but they were not able to grasp that. Prabhupada had to really put effort to explain that. So why I'm mentioning is that they may have certain aptitude of IQ 140 or 130, whatever, intelligent quotient, but their consciousness was so dull, they couldn't understand the difference between the body and soul. I don't know whether I told last week or from where, which place. How sometimes a person's consciousness becomes dull because of eating meat or certain wrong habits. So therefore Prabhupada says that the whole movement of Krishna consciousness is to purify the consciousness. It doesn't matter what kind of brain a person has. A person may be so-called having high IQ quotient. He may be IIT topper or NIT topper or MIT topper. But his consciousness may be still very dull. It may not be purified at all. So no matter what kind of brain a person has, but if a person transfers his consciousness to Krishna, his life becomes successful. So therefore Krishna says in the 9th chapter, whatever may be the background, the starting point does not matter. Whether a person is born, whatever family background or born, one may be a Shudra or Vaishya, whatever may be the starting point, that doesn't matter. But when a person takes to Krishna consciousness, one can get purified. So this is the point which Prabhupada is saying, that although Daksha got the goat's head, but he was as intelligent as he was before. So therefore, brain is not the center of intelligence. Intelligence is the function of the antakarana, internal sense organ. That is the point here. Okay, we'll go ahead. So in this way, Brahmaji is, in this way, Lord Shiva, he spoke these 4 shlokas, and then he reduced the punishment of these people. And then further, Maitreya is continuing. Maitreya Uvacha
मैत्रेय उवाच
Tada Sarvani Bhutani
तदा सर्वाणि भूतानि
Shrutva Medushtamoditam
श्रुत्वा मे दुष्टमोदितम्
Paritushtatma Visthata
परितुष्टात्मभिस्तात्
Sadhu Sadvityatha Bruvan.
साधु साध्वित्यथा ब्रुवन्. Translation. The great sage Maitreya said, My dear Vidura, all the personalities present were very much satisfied in heart and soul upon hearing the words of Lord Shiva, who is the best among the benedictors.
So Maitreya is giving the response of the other people and hearing the words of Lord Shiva. Hey Tata. Tata is an affectionate way of addressing. So Maitreya is addressing Vidura by the word Tata. Tada Medushtam Uditam Shrutva Sarvani Bhutani Paritushtatmabihi Sadhu Sadhu iti Abruvan. So at that in this shloka, the word Medushtama is used for Lord Shiva. On hearing the word spoken by Lord Shiva, Sarvani Bhutani, all the people present over there, Paritushtatmabihi, they became satisfied. And with the satisfied hearts, they said that Sadhu Sadhu iti Abruvan. They said, oh, it is very good. Whatever Lord Shiva has spoken, Sadhu Sadhu. They all approved. So Prabhupada is elaborating on the word Medushtama. Medushta is one of the words for Lord Shiva. So Medushtama means the best of the benedictors. So Lord Shiva is also called as Ashutosha, who is quickly satisfied and also quickly angered. Generally, people Kamaisai say Hritagyana Prapadyante Anya Devata Tam Tam Niyatamastaya Prakritiya Niyatasvaya. Less intelligent people the people whose intelligence is robbed, they go to the devatas to fulfill their material desires. Or Krishna says that Kankshanta Karmanam Siddhim Yajanta Iha Devata Shipram hi Manushe Loke Siddhir Bhavati Karmaja. People go to devatas in order to satisfy their desires quickly. Shipram hi Manushe Loke. So many people, they go to Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva is called as Medushtama, the best of the benedictors. But sometimes Lord Shiva becomes the best benedictor even in the spiritual life. So there's a story of a Brahmana who worshipped Lord Shiva for a benediction. He wanted some wealth in order to arrange for the marriage of the daughter. So Lord Shiva told that Brahmana to go and meet Sanatana Goswami. Then that Brahmana went to Sanatana Goswami. Lord Shiva told, you go to Sanatana Goswami, he has a touchstone, and then you can ask for a touchstone from him, and then with that you can get wealth. So he went to Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami told him that, oh, the touchstone you are talking, yeah, the touchstone is there. You see that there is a dustbin over there. The touchstone is there in the dustbin. You can find out there. I can read out. So this Brahmana went and searched in the dustbin and got the touchstone. And then after taking the touchstone, he started leaving. But then he started thinking, Sanatana Goswami has placed the touchstone in the dustbin. That means he has something more valuable than the touchstone. So then he became more inquisitive, again came to Sanatana Goswami. What is that object which is more valuable than the touchstone which you have? Then Sanatana Goswami told that. So if you want to know that, first you throw the touchstone in the Yamuna and then I will give you that. So that time that Brahmana had to develop that faith, because he will get that more valuable first when he throws the touchstone in the Yamuna. The poor Brahmana, and then he actually threw the touchstone in the water and then he came, developed that faith. And then when he returned, then Sanatana Goswami gave the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So therefore, we see that this is an instance where this Brahmana was a devotee of Lord Shiva. But by the association of Lord Shiva, he was directed to another pure devotee, Sanatana Goswami. Initially, he went to Sanatana Goswami with a mixed faith, not with a pure faith. Mixed faith means what? A person goes to a guru or a sadhu with a desire to fulfill one's material desire. With that mood one goes. That's the mixed faith. Initially, he went with a mixed faith, but then gradually with the association of Sanatana Goswami, at particular point, his mixed faith got elevated to pure faith. At that time only, he made the decision to throw the touchstone in the Yamuna. Because it's a risky decision actually. Whatever he got, he had to throw in order to receive something more valuable. And he had to put faith that Sanatana Goswami is having something more valuable. He took that leap of faith. That time his mixed faith got elevated to the pure faith. And then he got the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinnatvam Nama Naminam. The holy name is called as the Nama Chintamani. It is the best of the touchstones. Holy name fulfills all one's desires. In this way, Prabhupada is giving explanation for the word Midushtama. The Midushtama, Lord Shiva is the best of the Benedictors. Midushtama. The Tamap Pratyaya, there's a, just like Guhya Tama means the most confidential knowledge. The superlative degree meaning comes. Midushtama. Here also the same Pratyaya, Tamap Pratyaya is there. So therefore Prabhupada is translated as the best of the Benedictors, best of the benefactors. That is Lord Shiva. And then he gives an example of how Lord Shiva gave the Sadhu Sangha to that Brahmana in the form of Sanatana Goswami. Next shloka. Tato midvam samamantriya. Everybody recite.
Tato midvamsam amantya
Shunasira saharshibihi.
chunasira saharshivi
Bhuyastadeva yajanam.
Bhuyastadeva yajanam
Samidvad Veda Soyayuhu.
samidva dvedha soyayu. Translation. Thereafter, Bhrigu, the chief of the great sages, invited Lord Shiva to come to the sacrificial arena. Thus, the demigods, accompanied by the sages, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, all went to the place where the great sacrifice was being performed.
So, Tada, at that time, Rishibhi Saha Shunasiraha. Along with the rishis, Shunasiraha refers to Lord Shiva only. Why this word is used? The demigods headed by King Indra. Shunasira, the demigods headed by Indra. So along with the rishis and the devatas, Midvamsam Amantriya Samidvat Vedasaha Tada Deva Yajanam Yayuhu. उस समय ऋषिगण के साथ देवता शंकर जी को आमंत्रित करके शंकर जी और ब्रह्मा जी के साथ उस यज्ञशाला में गए. So along with the rishis, the devatas, what did they do? Midvamsam amantriya. Midvamsa is the word used for Lord Shiva. Midvamsam amantriya. They invited Lord Shiva. Previously, Daksha had not invited Lord Shiva to the sacrifice. But now they are careful. Midvamsam amantriya. They invited Lord Shiva and Samid vad Vedasaha. So then along with Lord Shiva and Brahmaji, Midvad Vedasaha. Midvad Vedasaha, along with Lord Shiva and Brahma. Saha Midvad Vedasaha. All the devatas went to the sacrificial arena. So we see here that previously Brahma also did not go to take part in the sacrifice because he knew that Lord Shiva would be offended. And Lord Shiva was not specifically given invitation also. Now the devatas were careful. They are taking Brahma and Shiva along with them to the sacrifice. Next shloka. So Prabhupada says that Shivahina Yajna, there is a common phrase, Shivahina Yajna. Any sacrifice without the presence of Lord Shiva is baffled. So Vishnu is the Yajneshwara. Although Vishnu is the main person who is pleased in the sacrifice, but still in each yajna it is necessary for all the devatas headed by Brahma and Shiva to be present. So that is how we respect the devatas. So if you refuse to invite a particular devata purposefully, then it is a mistake. It's an offense. Next shloka. Vidaya katsena cha tad Vidaya katsena cha tad yadaha bhagavan bhavah sandadukkasya kayena savaniya pashoshiraha. So then we see here that so as Lord Shiva had told previously that they joined one of the sacrificial head of a goat to the Daksha's body, and then Daksha was revived. They also gave the eyes of Mitra to Bhaga, and then they carried out whatever Lord Shiva had told previously. So when Daksha got revived, Sandiyamane Shirasi Daksho Rudrabhi Vikshitaihi Sadya Sukta Ivotastau Dadrishe Chagrato Mridam. So at that time, Daksha awoke from that state as if he got up from the sleep. Sukta Iva Uttastau. As if he got up from the sleep, he got up. And then Dadrishecha Agrato Mridam. He saw Lord Shiva in front of him. He saw Lord Shiva in front of him. So therefore, the Prabhupada says that Supta Ivottastu. That means Laksha Prajapati had the same intelligence as he had before, although he had the goat's head. So therefore, although he had the goat's head, he immediately remembered all the duties to be performed. So he was brought back this consciousness, and Daksha actually took another body when he took on the head of a goat. Although he took another body because he had the head of a goat, but still the consciousness was the same. The consciousness is the individual. The same consciousness which he had previously, of course, now with a repentant attitude, the same consciousness he got back. So therefore, the body has nothing to do with the development of consciousness. Consciousness is carried with the transmigration of the soul. So therefore, we see that Prabhupada gives the example, Maharaj Bharata. He became attached to the deer, and then when he left his body, remembering the deer, he became a deer. But his consciousness from the previous body was carried to the body of a deer. So therefore, whatever spiritual advancement he had made, because of that, he got the remembrance of the past life. So therefore, Krishna gives such an opportunity that when a person performs bhakti in this life, and then even if he is not successful, the next life he is given another opportunity by giving him the birth in some suitable family by which he can continue his Krishna consciousness. So that point is mentioned by Prabhupada. Purva Abhyasena Teneva Kriyate Hyavashopi Saha. The 6th chapter of the Gita, Krishna says that by the previous practice of one's bhakti, in the next life, when he gets a different body, and then when he meets say particular devotees of Krishna, so the previous spiritual advancement which he made, that attracts this person to the devotees and the path of bhakti. That's what happened in the case of Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj, he became a deer, but then as a deer, he was interested in the sadhu sangha. He would not associate with the other deers. And then when in the next life, when he took birth as a Jada Bharat, he was completely absorbed in his internal remembrance of the Lord. One more shloka we'll take. Somebody can repeat after me. Tada vrishadvajadvesha.
Tada vrisatvaja dvesha. Verse 9, suppose we were supposed to do, no?
Yeah, I summarized that. 10th only.
Okay.
Kalilatma prajapatihi.
Kalilatma prajapati.
Shivavalokad abhavach.
Shivavalokad abhavach.
Charadrada iva malaha.
Charadrada iva malaha. Translation. At that time when Daksha saw Lord Shiva, who rides upon a bull, his heart, which was polluted by envy of Lord Shiva, was immediately cleansed, just as the water in a lake is cleansed by autumn rains.
So this time Daksha is looking at Lord Shiva. Tada Vrishadvaja Dvesha. Vrishadvaja refers to Lord Shiva. So because of hating, because of the envy towards Lord Shiva, Khalilatma Prajapatihi. Prajapati refers to Daksha. Daksha's mind had become polluted. Khalilatma. Daksha's mind had become polluted. Now Shiva Avalokat. Now by looking at Lord Shiva, Sharad Hrada iva Amalaha Abhavat. Sharad Hrada. Hrada means the reservoir of water. Sharad is the autumnal season. In the autumnal season, the lakes become very crystal clear, free from contamination. So just like the reservoirs of water in the autumnal season became very clear and free from contamination, so similarly, Daksha Prajapati now, by looking at the Lord Shiva, his mind became very pure. He became freed from contamination. उस समय शंकर जी से द्वेष करने के कारण दूषित दक्ष प्रजापति का हृदय उनका दर्शन करने से शरतकालीन सरोवर के समान निर्मल हो गया. His mind became pure like the Sharatkalina. So there is also another analogy which comes in the second canto. Pravishta Karnarandrena Swanam Bhava Saroruham Dhunoti Shamalam Krishna Salilase Yatasharat. The sound incarnation of Krishna, that is Srimad Bhagavatam, when it enters into the heart of a living entity, and then when it enters the heart of a living entity, the person becomes self-realized, and that Krishna sits on the lotus flower seat in the heart of a person. And then Krishna completely cleanses the person of the contamination of material association, such as Kama, Krodha, Lobha. So in this way, the Srimad Bhagavatam, when it enters the heart of a person, that means like when a person gives a humble oral recitation to Srimad Bhagavatam, the Srimad Bhagavatam completely cleanses the heart of a person. In this way, the Srimad Bhagavatam acts like a autumnal rains upon pools of muddy water. Salilasya yata sharat. So during the autumn season, when some rains come, and those rains purify the muddy water in all the reservoirs. Muddy water in all the reservoirs. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam purifies the consciousness of a person. Prabhupada in that purport in the second canto, 8th chapter, he says that when you want to cleanse the small amount of water stored in a tank, you add some chemical, and then by that only that small amount of water is cleansed. Even then the dust is only settled at the bottom. Again, when the water is agitated, the dust may come back again. But then if you want to cleanse the dirt in all the reservoirs of water all over the world, then the autumnal rains will cleanse all the reservoirs of water all over the world. So similarly, the adding a small chemical to cleanse water stored in a particular tank, that is like following the path of Jnana Marga or Ashtanga Yoga Marga, the paths other than Bhakti Yoga, to purify one's consciousness. And they can purify a person only to some extent, but again the desires or the ajnana can come up. But the purifying potency of Bhakti Yoga, or the purifying potency of the Srimad Bhagavatam, is compared to the autumnal rains. And the Srimad Bhagavatam purifies a person in such a way that again a person does not fall victim to the contamination. It purifies not only the sins but also the sinful desires and also the ajnana. And the Srimad Bhagavatam purifies not just one person. Srimad Bhagavatam can purify the entire world. Unlike the chemical can purify only one small quantity of water, the Srimad Bhagavatam has the power to purify the entire world. Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplavo Yasmin Pratishloka Mabaddavatyapi Naman Yanantase Yashonkitanyat Shunvanti Gayanti Grinanti Sadhavu. So the Srimad Bhagavatam has a capacity to give direction to the world's misdirected civilization. So when the glorification of the Lord has the potential, has the power to purify the sinful population of this world were misdirected. Such a glorification of the Lord, even if there are many mistakes in such a glorification, intelligent people, the honest sadhus, they will appreciate such glorification of the Lord. So similarly, the analogy of the autumnal season, that's also given in the second canto, 8th chapter shloka. So when Daksha Prajapati, he became purified, then he starts offering prayers to Lord Shiva, which we'll see in the next class. Hare Krishna. Anybody has any questions? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so earlier when Daksha have seen Lord Shiva, so that time how his mind was not cleansed, but this time it was cleansed.
Because with what attitude a person sees. This time, Daksha has gone through the phase of punishment. His head was removed, and then now he has got the goat's head. Therefore, because he has gone through this phase, now he is having a reverence towards Lord Shiva. He has realized his mistake. So therefore, just like when we talk about wet leaf and a dry leaf. Wet leaf and dry leaf both may come in contact with the fire. But the dry leaf catches fire, the wet leaf does not catch fire. Similarly, Daksha saw Lord Shiva previously, but at that time his heart was polluted with envy towards Lord Shiva. So whatever one may have the association, opportunity to associate with a great person, but what is the attitude of an individual candidate? That's also important. So because of that, he instead only found fault in Lord Shiva. But now his heart, having gone through the period of punishment, his heart is like a dry leaf. And now when he has come in contact with a spark of fire, in the form of the association of Lord Shiva, he became very repentant and he became purified. And then he is going to offer prayers to please Lord Shiva.
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Hello, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you said that Daksha, he got the goat's head, but he took another body. Another body means completely not the body which was before. Then Daksha had the capacity to take another body, or how did he take another body?
Another body in the sense that because the head is different, therefore that sense is a different body.
Huh? I could not get you, Prabhuji.
The head is goat's head, therefore it is a different body.
No, he took a goat's body only.
No, only the head of the goat. Head is replaced by a goat's head. Therefore, it's a different body actually.
That's why he didn't take the another body.
Yeah, previously he had a complete human body, but now he has a goat's head with the rest of the body being human. In that sense, now it's a different body only.
I thought
he got the goat head, so he took the body also differently.
No, the rest
Okay,
of the
thank you.
body was a human body. Only the head was that of a goat.
Okay. And one more thing, I got a doubt that the demigods who were cursed, that their eyes, they would see through the eyes were plucked off, and they would see through the arms were cut off, they would work from. How was it possible? Because every demigod has a seva, no?
Hmm.
You got it? All
How is it
demigods
possible?
are given seva.
How
So
can
how will
you use the hand of another person?
Yeah,
How?
they can now get the services. Lord has given services to everyone.
Yeah, Bhagavatam does not give the detail. Just like, for example, sometimes a person is blind, but then there is another person who is escorting him, who is going along with him. So, in that sense, because under the guidance of the another person who has the eyes, he is able to move around. So that means practically he is seeing through the eyes of the person next to him.
Achha, that way.
So that way. So that way, basically, the demigod whose eyes were plucked up, they told that, okay, when you have to see, you take the help of this person, he will guide you what to see, what is there where. And one demigod, some demigods' arms were cut off. When you have to do some activity, then you can perform through the arms of this particular devata. That means this devata will help you perform the task. Okay.
So it's the Lord Shiva only directed.
Huh?
Lord Shiva only directed all this, gave all this.
Yes. Lord Shiva, yes.
So Supreme Lord was not this thing.
Yeah, we will see in this
Power comes
chapter.
from God also.
Lord Shiva has the power given by Vishnu.
Yes, Lord.
This
Thank
chapter,
you.
the next, you will see the next section. When the sacrifice is started, then Lord Vishnu will appear. Lord Vishnu will appear, how all the devatas would offer prayers to Vishnu. That is a major portion of this chapter. Prayers offered by different personalities to Vishnu. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. So we'll stop here. Thank you everyone for your patient attention. We'll continue next time. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रील प्रभु